Before we start with the music, introduce yourselves.
I'm Joe Coscarelli. I'm a culture reporter at the New York Times and a host of Popcast with this guy.
I'm Jon Caramanica, pop music critic at the New York Times, co-host of Popcast.
We'll get into Popcast later on in the conversation and what you guys are doing there, but the big headline story of the moment right now just came out this week. We have the magazine here. It's the 30 Greatest Living American Songwriters, which is why I'm wearing this American flag sweater today.
Your stars and stripes don't add up to 30, though. So how am I supposed to know which one is Young Thug? How am I supposed to know?
Obviously, the difficult part of this task is narrowing a list of 30.
Sure.
Also, I'm curious coming up with the number 30 to begin with, but you talk about advocating for different types of voices and maybe unexpected voices, and that's part of this conversation. So let's just go back to the beginning. And let's listen to a song.
Let's do it.
I'm curious if you guys can even guess where I'm going to start. Probably not.
I think you could start anywhere. I mean, are you going
anywhere?
Yeah, just hit us.
This is what you came for.
This is a great one. Okay, I really wanted to talk about this. I'm really glad you did this.
Okay.
I almost put this on my list.
Who wrote that song?
Taylor fucking Swift.
Okay.
That's Calvin Harris with Rihanna on the vocals. And I've always had a theory that in the little chopped up vocal hook that you could still hear a little Taylor reference track in there. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the case. I'm trying to think the pen name she used on the song initially, Nils.
It's like a Swedish.
Yeah, she used a Swedish pen name.
Can't remember.
Put it in the comments, Nils something. Yes, it's Taylor Swift.
So as part of this project, and maybe this is one of the cool things about working at the New York Times is you can send out the bat signal to Taylor's team. I don't know even how that works. And Taylor says, okay, I'll do an interview with you guys.
You make it sound so easy.
I guess we haven't tried to get her on Trackstar. Maybe we should try. But what was that? And we have a mutual friend, Josh, who shot all these videos.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Josh. Josh directed the video interviews.
An amazing job directing stuff. So tell me about sitting down with Taylor Swift for this.
Yeah, so I did the Taylor interview. Was a great honor to be able to go this deep with her and her songwriting.
I can only speak to me, but as I've grown up, the intensity of the sort of, no pun intended, message in a bottle nature of my songwriting has shifted and changed into something else.
As I've said before in discussing this project now, it was groundwork that Jon and I have been laying for more than a decade with Taylor and her team. Jon did one of the first ever newspaper profiles with her.
2008 or 2009.
It's a huge basis for our friendship. When Jon was a music critic and I was an aspiring culture journalist, one of the first things we bonded over was our mutual love of Taylor. I knew
Joe when he was on Tumblr.
I was big on Tumblr.
He was in college. He was heavy on Tumblr. I was like, your Tumblr's good.
I've been a Taylor Swift fan since I was 18, when Fearless came out. And I've been writing about her for more than a decade. I interviewed her once for my series Diary of a Song, the songwriting YouTube series that I had earlier in my career at the New York Times. And so when we were making this list, I think I first went to them the end of last summer, and said, hey, we're going to put her on this list. We'd love for her to participate in some way. We don't know exactly what that looks like. And this was before anyone knew Life of a Showgirl even existed. It was just calls every couple weeks, every month, until we finally landed it this spring. And I think part of the reason we were able to do that, in addition to the honor of being named to this list, I was saying, it's Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Carole King. We want to put her in that company, and we want her to come and take, the belt that we're handing to her. We want her to own that, because we're building a new canon and she should be a part of it. And I think the other reason someone like Taylor would do this is because she wanted to speak about songwriting. It's the thing that she cares about the most. It's the thing that she thinks about day and night. It's her life's work, like quite literally. And most of the time, if you hear her do interviews at all, people want to know about everything but the music. And this was an opportunity to talk only about the music, and I think she leapt at that chance.
What is it about Taylor's songwriting that stands out to you guys that makes it special?
So, first of all, I'm glad you played that song. That's an interesting choice in that it's not a Taylor song as a performer, but it shows how effective her songwriting is, even when you decontextualize it from her voice. Taylor, in my mind, is the modern classicist. Like, Taylor is someone who is very clearly an inheritor of the Joni tradition, very clearly an inheritor of a bunch of folks who are on this list from 10 to 20 years earlier. Or more. And Taylor is also someone who, when we assess songwriting, not only in the context of this package, we're looking for people who are gifted with either overall structure. We're looking for people who are gifted line for line, bar for bar. We're looking for people who are gifted with twists of words, unexpected pivots, so on and so forth. Taylor is a songwriter who excels at each of those levels. If she was only good at one of those levels, you'd be like, she's still a pretty good candidate for this list, given the depth of the catalog. But the fact is, out of everybody under, how old is Taylor now? I should know the answer to this.
A little bit younger than me, because she was born in 1989.
No one is younger than you.
Thank you.
She's an excellent candidate because I think she is a good absorption of what came before, but packages it in a way where it doesn't feel antiquated. It doesn't feel dusty. A lot of younger songwriters who are like, I'm an inheritor of such and such tradition, all they're doing is they're going out of their way to show you like, no, I'm just like Bruce. I'm just like this. And Taylor's like, no, I have an incredibly modern proposition as a star and as a performer, but as a songwriter, I have done all the homework. I know how to do all the tricks.
Yeah, she's become a genre unto herself. And I think the macro argument that I would make for Taylor is that she has done as much as anyone in modern music to draw attention to the craft and importance of songwriting. Like, her fans know what bridges are. Like, her fans know what demos are and how songs change over time. You know, like the All Too Well alone. Like, the fact that that was a 5.5 minute song on Red, and then it became a #1 hit as a 10-minute song, director's cut, Taylor's version. Like, that is
years later.
teaching people about what songwriting is. Like, even the whole Taylor's version process, this idea that kids today know what master recordings are and the difference between a composition and a master recording because of this woman, you know, like, and you can take that through with her battles with Spotify, her battles with the major labels, her relationship with Apple Music, like
Scooter Braun.
Yeah, like, she has made the art of songwriting central to her business and her persona in a way that I think argues for her importance as a songwriter on top of the quality of the songs themselves.
And the only other thing I would add is I think as a critic, I personally can be a little bit resistant to people who are obsessed with form. I like people who are challenging form. Like,
We'll get to those.
Yeah, we'll get to those. But like, she does it in such a sort of casually excellent way that you kind of can't help but revere the form. And obviously, it's not like I grew up listening to abrasive music as a 4-year-old. It's like you walk a journey to get to your taste level, and you walk through a lot of places to get to it. Taylor is a person who I think holds up the finest values of what I would think of as classicist songwriting, but again, doesn't make me feel like dusty when I listen to it.
Of the 30 folks on the list, what percentage of those it was like, there's no conversation?
Yeah, there's no, I mean,
obviously,
was
with
there a
her,
fight on
right?
Taylor? There wasn't a fight.
Very little. Okay, so just a little bit behind the scenes, like 5 people when we walked in the room were already ratified on the list based on how well they did in the balloting process. So I think we said this on Cannonball, right? I'm not revealing too much. I think that was Dylan, Springsteen, Dolly, Carole King, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
So those people were a wrap. So
No debate.
Because we were starting at 25, there was only 20 slots until we bumped it up to 30. I think in the next round of people, I think it was pretty easy to say, hey, we're going to need some people from the 21st century. Taylor Swift is an obvious choice. I think, if we really wanted to fight it out, there could have been some pushback in the room, but I think we all walked in and probably left that first day knowing that she would be on the list.
But it's an interesting thought about canons and canonicity, even just the very fact that we're thinking about a 21st century classicist, I think there are plenty of people who saw this list and were basically like, no one under 40 should be on this list. You know what I mean? Like, I think there are people who think about this in
There's
that
no
way.
one young who's good enough.
Right, or that you have to have been doing it for 40 years in order to be qualified to be on the list. And obviously, we think that's nonsense. Yeah.
But at least we got to say we ran on the digit, we ran on the money, we ran on the digit, we ran on that money, we ran on the digit, we ran on the money.
Wow. Oh my God. These speakers. It's like, we're just going to sit here and listen to Young Thug all day.
We're going to start taping our show here. Unbelievable. I feel alive.
Wow.
I feel alive.
There's a little shot of espresso.
I approached the work of Young Thug through two vectors, right? And I felt like I had to incorporate both of those into my sort of, like, we each wrote like arguments for, if you read this.
There's a blurb about each
Yeah, it's like
artist.
500 words or whatever on each songwriter. When I think about early, eccentric, ecstatic soul music, I'm not just thinking about structure, and I'm not just thinking about musician, like a high degree of musicianship. I'm thinking about, for lack of a better way to put it, bells and whistles.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the drizzle. I'm thinking about the filigree. I'm thinking about the hoots and the hollers.
Yeah,
and
who
the
invented
things-
ad-libs?
Yeah,
James Brown,
yeah.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah, or like
Chuck
some
Berry?
Southern black radio DJ in the 1950s, you know? And so if you hear Young Thug, you hear what you just played, he is clearly in that tradition. Whether he arrived at it directly or indirectly, I can't say, but he's clearly in that tradition. The other thing is, we spent a lot of time talking about arcs of songcraft. People have a sort of germinal idea, they build it, they make it complicated, it gets formalized, someone starts to trouble it a little bit, it starts to fall apart. Thug to me was the stand-in for what's been happening in rap music for the last 7, 8, 9 years, which is the collapse of form. To me, Drake is like the peak of form. It's like melody, content, lyric, depth, popularity, like all sort of wrapped up. And it's interesting that the counter narrative that starts to pop up a couple years after Drake really takes hold is someone who's like, but what if I break the whole thing? What if the whole fucking thing is broken? I was actually saying, and I don't think I said this on Cannonball, but I said this to you separately. My only real regret, it's like Thug is a post-structuralist. My only real regret is we don't have a rock post-structuralist. We don't have someone who did for indie rock or mainstream rock what Thug did for rap music. But the truth is, Thug has been so influential over the last 2 micro generations of rap. You know, everyone on Rolling Loud. I mean, Rolling Loud was last weekend. If you were to ask all those folks, like, what do you listen to? They all listen to Thug, or they all listen to people who listened to Thug. To me, that's a powerful statement about someone who can make great songs, but is breaking apart the thing that we are all thinking of when we think of songwriting, and yet still end up with that. That's powerful. And that's why I fought for him.
Write a hook. You can also write a verse, like Lifestyle, you know.
Did a lot, just to live this here lifestyle.
Any of the Rich Gang stuff, like that's a radio hook. Like that's a song that took abstract streaming rap music and put it on the radio, you know, like something like High, his weird collaboration with Elton John, where he takes Rocket Man and turns it into like a druggy lament.
Very strange
like,
record. Strange record.
Just How It Is, where he's telling a story. Like he can be all of these things. And to pick up what John's saying about lineage, it's like, could Lil Wayne have been on this list? Of course. Would Thug exist without Lil Wayne? Probably not. Future, another post-structuralist rapper who can also write a song, who can also write the hook to Drunk in Love, you know, like, but also Jay-Z. It's like Jay-Z is the one who taught rappers that
They didn't have to write.
they don't have to write. They can just go on the mic and feel, and a song can be formed that way. So I think what we wanted to do by including modern rappers instead of just Nas or Eminem or traditionalist, classicist rappers is to say these guys changed what songwriting can be, and that's good because it has to keep moving forward.
And to your point, you mean you said it, thankfully, so we didn't have to say it, which is people are on this list for different reasons. Obviously, would I be happily make a list of the 100 most important living American songs? Like, of course, I can make that list. The question is, when you're narrowing it down to 30, you don't want to over-index on one particular style of songwriting. There are certain people who are, beyond reproach, like the 5 people who were voted in by the ballot. Someone like Taylor to me is a layup.
The Motown people,
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson's on this list.
Yeah, it's like those are obvious layups. They're totemic figures. Beyond that, though, why wouldn't you have an expansive idea of what American songcraft is? And especially as someone who was raised reading lists that were the same 30, 50, 75 people, songs, albums over and over again, given an opportunity. And like, just candidly, I don't like lists. This is not, I don't live my life for this. I don't wish to make lists for my career. But if we're going to do it, let's embrace it as like a theoretical exercise in what do we as a collective want to say about American song. And I can say, at least for myself, and I think a lot of people in the room, what we want to say about American song is it's a lot broader than the people who typically are preoccupied with songwriting would concede that it is.
Yeah.
And that's why Young Thug is on this list.
And that's why there's a lot of pushback, because there's people about him in particular, is because there's people who think of it as this other thing, the stereotype of a guy with a guitar.
We're reflecting what songwriting is. You might not like it, but this is what songwriting is today. People make songs using technology. And Young Thug is one of the people who has pushed that form further and further and further.
Do you guys think in this process and in the room, are you thinking about the future? Are you thinking about what are people going to think about these artists in 25 years?
No. Or
25
these
years
artists or the list itself?
Not the list, but the artists.
I wouldn't have voted for anybody who I didn't think could stand the test of time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have voted. There's people, who had a great album last year, and I'm like, oh, that's a beautifully written album. Yeah. But to me, I felt like you had to be making music for 10 years, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there was no time.
There was no
frame.
official. In my mind, though, I'm like, you have to have been relevant and thoughtful for a long enough period of time.
You have to have a body of work. It's like, we've heard the name Frank Ocean sometimes. Like, could Frank Ocean have been on this list? Sure. Did he come up in the room? Sure. But has he written enough songs? I think that was a question.
Yeah.
It's like, has he written enough songs to stand up to some of these people who have had careers of 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years?
Yeah. There's no way I would have voted for someone who I didn't think people would look back on and be like, that's right. Or even that's a real person. You don't want it to be some anonymous, like we participate in any number of list projects where sometimes you're like, there's one left field thing on here. We don't really know. Like, we'll just throw it on there. And occasionally you look back on that with a little bit of like, we probably should have just did the obvious thing.
And I think Thug is that for some people who looked at this list. But I think if you care about rap music, there's no way you can think that about Young Thug, even if you don't like him personally.
Yeah. There's a number of songwriters who really are behind the scenes on this list. And I want to play a song, but get into how you think about those people versus the performers. We touched on a little bit with Taylor.
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of part of the reason I played that song.
Amazing. This is like, I'm going to cry. I was like, this is a song that made me feel as a child, I'm like, I've never been in love, but if Liv Tyler was on the other end of the screen, and I was in space, I get it. Thank you, Diane Warren.
Don't wanna close my eyes. I don't wanna fall asleep 'cause I miss you, baby. And I don't wanna miss a thing.
That's the genius. Okay. There's a lot to unpack, but I guess my first question is, how do you differentiate or separate the songwriting from everything else that's going on? The performance from Aerosmith, really from just Steven Tyler, right? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. The rest of the band's not even, it's an orchestra. And then the production, everything that's happening there. What's her job versus all the other work that's happening?
Okay, so I think there's a micro answer to that question and a macro answer to that question. When I think about what Steven Tyler is doing in this song and thinking about where Aerosmith was at this particular moment in their career and their sort of crossover into MTV fame or infamy, and him essentially taking the bones of a classic ballad and slapping that yowl on top of it and being like, I can do this too. To me, that's a fascinating match of songwriter and vocal talent. It shows, in my mind, the strength of what each of those people is doing individually. She's writing a song that's sturdy enough that someone with his voice can sing it. He's singing a song that's not exactly in the format that Aerosmith got famous with, and he's like, I can actually do this as well. So that's one thing. Diane Warren is providing in this song a feeling and a structure.
Yeah.
And he's coming and slathering the caramel on top, you know? Yeah. She's feeling, she's bones.
Bones covered in caramel.
That's
why they pay you the big bucks.
My favorite snacks. With someone like Diane Warren, also, you can't listen to that song and not immediately understand it as part of an oeuvre, right? Like, you have to understand it. This is the
they
queen.
Teach you that word in the Ivy League?
I knew it before. This is, I mean, you know exactly who wrote that song before you get 4 bars in. You know exactly who wrote that song. And this is a person, you know, it's the soundtrack queen of the 80s, right? Like, this is a person who had a gut level understanding of schlock and pomp, and who really had a signature, not just word choice, pacing, melodic arc, but also potency of, like, there's a punch in a Diane Warren song that a lot of other songwriters who maybe are mainstream friendly do not deliver. But you get the sense, and I've never interviewed Diane Warren, but I suspect this is a person who just is in the woodshed constantly being like, how do I push this word how do I push it one emotional notch farther? And you feel that. Like, is that a great song because Steven Tyler sang the fuck out of it? Of course it is. But he's only doing, in essence, what the bass tells him to do.
Yeah, I think you could have anybody of solid piano playing and vocal technique sit down and play that song as stripped down as possible, and it would still be a banger. Like, that's like, I think that's what Jon means by the bones, you know? Yeah. It's like, you don't need, the production is amazing, the performance is amazing, but if you took it all away, the song still is there and it's full.
How does that actually work with Diane Warren? Is she on the piano playing this and creating a demo
My
tape?
suspicion, given from that, I mean, I think everybody works slightly differently. Like, obviously, some songwriters work, they'll come to the studio with the performer and try to, like, work something out. But my suspicion is she wrote these songs either on spec or was pitching them around. Yeah. But that's also, but this is like the Nashville conundrum also, right? Because so much Nashville songwriting is not, I woke up and I wrote this song for Luke Combs. It's just, I woke up and I wrote this song.
And then I shopped
it. Or my publishing company shopped it. And maybe they really hoped Luke Combs would sing it, and they slid it to his manager early. But so many great country songs are literally written in an office, probably nowhere near as nice as this one, between the hours of like 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. by 2 or 3 folks who maybe didn't even meet until that day. And they come up with something special, and then it lands with the right singer, and then that turns into a hit. But there's no guarantees. Now, people have expressed some reservations about the list, about songwriting collaborations, how many people worked on a song. We can talk about that at more length if you want. But obviously, part of the unknowable thing about the success of a song is, like, what's the magic when the right singer touches, or rapper touches the right combination of words and the right melody. And what I'll say about Diane Warren is, like, I think any of the 3 of us could have had a Diane Warren hit in like 87. I think
if she was writing like that.
If she was writing like that, it could have been any of us. Yeah. None of us would have to podcast.
But to your point, to your question of did she play the piano and sing in the earliest version of the song, and I think that is a lot of people's idea of the only type of valid songwriting. It's the Lennon-McCartney model, where you are writing the music and you are writing the lyrics and the melody all in one person. what we wanted to do, again, was represent different kinds of songwriting as they exist in the 21st century. So to that point, we put what known as top liners on the list.
I was literally about to ask you,
like-
tell me who a top liner is and tell me about The Dream.
So The Dream, we put The Dream on the list. I wrote The Dream blurb. The Dream is somebody who I'm sure he's good at making music. He's been in studios for long enough. He started
He has
in
good
a
albums.
marching band.
His early albums are good.
He has good solo albums, but he works with a producing partner, Tricky Stewart. Tricky makes the track, and what The Dream does as a top liner is write the melody and the lyrics and then shop it out. So The Dream wrote Single Ladies. The Dream wrote Umbrella by Rihanna. The Dream wrote Baby, the first Justin Bieber hit, a bunch of Mariah Carey songs, Sierra, Ride, like hit after hit after hit, like any good R&B song from the 21st century that's gonna like kill at a party or karaoke or whatever. Like The Dream might have been involved in that. He still works with Beyonce today, worked across Cowboy Carter and Renaissance and probably whatever's coming next. This is somebody who is an indelible figure in 21st century music. And to me, you can't leave him off a list like this just because he's not strumming the guitar while he's writing those melodies that are stuck in all of our heads forever.
This is a really dominant force. Like when you listen to the radio, you hear these hooks.
It's also about the disaggregation of the songwriting and production process, right? Like earlier generations understand the creation of music as the act of sometimes it's an individual, sometimes it's a duo or a trio, but it's just like some folks got in a room and just passed it out and came out with genius. There are multiple forms of genius, and with the advent of technology, with the advent of non-contiguous songwriting, which is to say I might have a beat that I send to you and you put a melodic top line on, which we send to a writer, and the writer puts some words in the top line, and then they send it to the sample guy, and the sample guy finds an interesting noise to put into it. That's how modern songs are made. Is it less valid because it took 4 people and good Wi-Fi? I don't think it does.
There are plenty of those types of songwriters among this 30 and plenty more that could have been among this 30, but we felt like we had to account for people who write songs differently.
Oh, he's about to press the button on a crazy one.
I'm going to play the one that was the most unexpected.
Okay. I have a guess.
Oh, okay. I'm really curious to know what you think it is.
I had a feeling.
Because this is like somewhere it's in the older tradition.
Yeah.
I don't listen to this a lot.
Not a Steve Merritt guy.
No, but little known fact, when he debuted this album over 2 nights at the Knitting Factory in Lord knows whatever year, 1998 or 1999, I was there. Well, my man Alex, shout out Alex, he bought tickets and took me, but he took me.
You were the date.
No, he took me as kind of,
Like,
he was like, punking
is
me.
this torture?
But he was kind of punking me a little bit because he was just like,
What were you listening to that year?
in 1997, I was listening to Company Flow. Yeah, like obviously I was listening to Company Flow. I was listening to Black Star. But he was like, this is important. I think you'll get it if you see it. And I went and watched this man sing songs in 20 different styles. And I was like, it's like watching someone dazzle dribble and just be like, I didn't even know people could ball handle like that. That's wild.
Stephen Merritt and one mixtape.
Yeah.
1.5 million monthly listeners.
Not a lot.
For the Magnetic Fields. Probably the least.
Actually, more than I would have thought.
Kids,
Probably the least.
go listen to the Magnetic Fields.
Probably the least popular.
Could this not pop on
Current-
TikTok today?
100%.
If it got
Sad-
discovered by the right influencer.
Sad kid TikTok?
Yeah.
Sad kid.
100%.
Chaotic good. Get involved.
Yeah.
And that was the song you guessed I was gonna. Artist you
I
guessed
knew
I
you
was
were going to
gonna
play a
mention.
Magnetic Fields song. Yeah, I did because he is.
You overthought this.
I
I was open to the process.
He's an outlier
He's
on
an
the
outlier.
list, but I think that he really belongs. And I saw a lot of back and forth. Like, I think the first reaction I saw on social media was like, Stephen Merritt, fuck out of here. And then a lot of people were like, no, obviously Stephen Merritt. Like he is like Venn diagram of all of the things we're talking about. Like he reaches way back to tradition and
like the 1910s.
yeah,
you know?
and pushes things forward by playing with form, releasing a 69 track album, just like these insane choices he makes, the turns of phrase, the voice, as John was saying. It's, this list is not about performance, but because most of the writers on this list are also performers.
A flaw, TBH.
Yeah, which is we may have over represented songwriters who are also performers. But again, that's, I think, accurate to how people think about this stuff. Stephen Merritt, I said he was like our resident weirdo indie guy. Like we needed that guy. Like could have been Sufjan Stevens.
I was just going to say, it's like we talked a lot about buckets of songwriters, which is like maybe a little bit unfair, but it's like it'd be weird if this list had Stephen Merritt and Sufjan Stevens and Bill Callahan. Yeah. That'd be But that said, I bet there's people in the comments who are like, no, that's the only valid songwriting list. But like for us, the group of people who are in that room, it would have been strange. But here's the thing about Stephen Merritt. It's like, there's like certain kids in school who are like just good at every single song. Like they're good at math, they're good at physics, they're good at English, they're like captain on the varsity swim team. You know what I mean? They just have like all these like niche talents that somehow all coexist. When I hear his songwriting, I'm like, oh, like you're so practiced at some 1920s form of songcraft. You're so practiced in 1950s harmony. You're so practiced in 1990s melancholy. And mostly people who are good at one of those things have never even heard the other stuff. This is, I mean this, it sounds like a diss, but it's not. Like, this is homework music. This is a guy who did his homework. And we want to honor someone in that space who really takes the legacy of songwriting seriously. And so to me, like, I love, like, could I have lived with Sufjan on the list over Stephen Merritt? Probably. But you go back and you pop on, like, I definitely popped on 69 Love Songs, like, during the course of the weeks that we were in these meetings. And even on the moments where I was like, I'm kind of like tired of this, I was like, this is undeniably skilled. And it's skilled in a way that no other person we're talking about in the room can touch. So for that reason, let's just go all in and make the case.
And we should apologize to Mr. Merritt and the Magnetic Fields heads because in the last podcast we did about this list,
so many podcasts.
we were joking about his distaste, his infamous distaste for rap music, and saying that he wouldn't go near an 808. But in fact, of course, the Magnetic Fields made a lot of electronic pop music early on. He was using the 808s differently than Young Thug is using 808s. But yes, we know that Stephen Merritt knows his way around a keyboard and a drum machine.
We
of
take
course.
the point.
Drum machines can be used in all kinds of ways. Yeah.
There's a song on this, or an artist on this list, who I feel like really displays a New York bias.
I think I know what this is.
One of the all-time goats.
You love this.
Love.
You're a New Yorker.
It's the song that you hear just the most often, casually.
Walking the streets.
Just that's the sound of New York City.
Yep.
Constant.
There's a funny thing, which I've talked about on our show, but like I went to an Aventura show at Madison Square Garden in like 2002 or whatever. It happened to be filmed for a DVD, which was like a thing that happened back then. And I am in the DVD, which I did not know this for years.
Only Gringo in the DVD.
Yeah. I did not know until my old UPS guy, Dave, when I used to live on the Upper East Side. Dave was Dominican. And Dave was like, I saw you in the Aventura DVD. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because we would always talk about Aventura. And I was like, oh, you're giving me our time. He's like, nah. He's like, you're in it. But then either I moved or he got off the route. Like, we never actually connected on it. And I just kind of like let it slip. And then it re-popped into my mind during this process. And then I found it. No, I didn't find it. A YouTube commenter found it on like a rogue rip of the DVD that's on YouTube. It was like funny to see John Caramanica at like 7 minutes and 12 seconds of this. And you go, and it's
flashing
me.
On the screen
it's
right
literally
now.
me in the audience. Like,
it's
very funny.
Because we had Romeo on Popcast last year for an interview.
Oh, that's what it was. It was in the comments of that.
Before we put him on
my
this list.
bad. We talk about Stephen Merritt as someone who mastered 30, 40 different styles of songwriting. That's a person who's mastered one.
Yeah.
And dare I say, kept one alive.
Yeah.
You think about bachata not getting its sort of full props in the context of any number of various Latin American music explosions, Spanish language music explosions. It's remained a bit cloistered. And I have often felt like if he like just moved somewhere, if he moved out of the country, it was like, I'm not making music anymore, the whole kind of scene would kind of collapse around him. His vision, his deafness, and also his doggedness to innovate this art form that's like essentially folk music. I mean, if you go back to the 60s or 70s, this is folk music. And him saying it's folk music, but what if it was also R&B and pop and a little bit hip hop, but still keep all the core elements there? The fact that he has done that and almost single-handedly kept the genre alive. I mean, I don't want to get emails about this. Obviously, there's plenty of other good bachata singers, but you do not get the success of anyone in contemporary bachata today without the solo work of Romeo Santos and the work of Aventura. Just don't.
He brought Usher and Drake to bachata music
his house.
before
He didn't go to their house.
Before Bad Bunny was a
Yeah.
twinkle in our eye. You know, like this list also has Bad Bunny on it. We wanted to make sure Latin music, which is American music, you know, what was represented, and we wanted it to not only be the biggest of the moment, but somebody who's been quietly humming in the background, writing really solid songs the whole while.
Yeah, probably an inspiration in some ways to Bad Bunny.
Of course.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it was fascinating to
collaborated,
talk
of course.
when Romeo Santos was on our show. It was fascinating to talk to him about, I think, the things that he thought had eluded him for being maybe a touch too early or a touch too walled off, maybe not being willing to just be like, well, what happened? What would happen if I stepped 2 inches in this direction? If I took this opportunity, if I asked someone to come a little closer to me? And he looked at Bad Bunny and is like, oh, that's what happens. Oh, a bit of an awakening, I think. And I think he was, to his credit, like quite vulnerable about what it was like to experience that, watching it happen to somebody else rather than to him. I think that's a guy who's like very prideful and confident. I think it's safe to say. Some might say more. But just for him to say, damn, that guy really did a thing that kind of I thought was where I was heading, was striking. That said, when it came to this list and thinking about different songwriting traditions, we're talking 10 to 15 years of, 20 really, if you go back to the earliest Aventura record, more than 20 years of music and a scene that does not exist without this guy. That's it. I speak enough Spanish to know what he's talking about. He's revolving around similar themes often. He also is expansive. You know, he's written songs about other subject matter besides love and lust, although love and lust is a worthy muse. But the fact that he can come at it from 50 different angles, keep it fresh, still sound this way, saying, yeah, it's just a startling feat.
And as you're assessing this work and Bad Bunny, those are the only two non-English language songwriters on the list, right? So when you're looking at those, are you guys also looking at the lyric translations of the lyrics and like breaking that down?
Yeah, I certainly am. You know, it's funny, like Bad Bunny to me often is more powerful as a melodist than word for word.
Yeah.
Whereas Romeo Santos, I think, is quite good at both. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I probably looked at English language translations, which are, of course, imperfect, but English language translations of 30 songs of each of these guys.
Yeah, and to Bad Bunny, like a song like DTMF, like the title track of the album that won Album of the Year. Another guest on our show, Popcast, who came and we talked to him about this, about the language barrier and his decision to not cross over by singing in English, which I think is revolutionary on both of these guys' parts that we've been speaking about. But when you read the lyrics to a song like that and the way that he can be so specific about his friends and his island and where he comes from and his lifestyle, and then also have it be this like perfectly universal, wistful breakup / I miss you song with that crazy sing-along chorus, that's just that transcends any language barrier. And I think that's great songwriting.
Yeah, in some ways, it teaches you the most about songwriting when you're learning about it and you don't even understand what they're saying.
Totally. And to Bad Bunny's credit, he said that's how I would learn English songs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, look around the world at people screaming lyrics in concert to a Kendrick Lamar song with a million words that they may or may not understand, but they know the melodies and they're probably learning English through thinking about these songs. And I think that should go both ways.
How do you guys get someone like Bad Bunny on your show, on Popcasts?
We text him? No, we don't text him.
Persistence.
Yeah. Look, we, I think, have been very blessed with long careers where we have, and early points in artists' careers intersected with them in meaningful ways.
Yeah.
Like I said, Taylor in 2008, 2009, I wrote one of the first ever Drake stories. You know, like I have made it central to my sort of raison d'etre at the New York Times to say I don't simply need to interview the most famous people or write criticism about the top 5 people. The best use of me in this chair is identifying who's going to be there next and trying to get in early.
Do you guys have to have, if you're having artists on the show, does it have to be an artist that you like their music? Or
One of us has to like
Can
them.
you
Our informal rule is that one of us has to be able to ride for the music, or they got to be really, really, really famous. No, that was mostly a joke. I think we have to see the value in the. We can't fake it. It's like we don't butter people up. We don't tell them things we don't mean on camera or off.
Yeah.
But I think there can be music that we respect or see the growth or see where it's going or see its role in the current music ecosystem, even if we don't personally love it. We can see value in it. But yeah, generally there's some people on the show, and you guys can guess who likes who. But there's some people where it's like, oh, I really, really don't like this person, but Jon believes in them, and I'll go along for the ride.
Yeah, and also it's like, I mean, look, you're sitting here. Hopefully, we're not boring you. Hopefully, we're not boring the people at home, right? It's like you don't want it to be a slog. It's your job. This is your work. You're passionate about it. You care about it. The worst thing that could happen is we walk out the door and you're like, these fucking guys. Like, I just can't. I can't believe these guys. And maybe you will. We don't know. But like, the truth is, like, we don't want to be sitting there. First of all, it's a huge time commitment. Yeah. It's not just simply the time in the room. It's the booking. It's the setup. It's the preparation. And then after it leaves, it's the video edit. We also do a print version of where we distill down the long transcript into a Q&A. Yeah. It's that. We're talking easily a week of labor for every person that sits on the couch. If it's about someone we think sucks, that's misery. Yeah. I don't want that.
Well, when I see the work that you guys do on Popcast, the other writing, this thing, it's about taking this list. It's about taking pop music seriously as a really important art form.
We've always felt that way. Yeah, I mean, and it's one of the things I like so much about, like, Joe cares about movies a lot. Like, I don't care about movies as much as Joe, you know, like I have other things I care about. Joe has other things I care about. When I was young and I would read music writing from like a select group of people, you know, Greg Tate, Bob Christgau, Reggie Dennis, you know, just any number of folks, I felt relieved because I was like, oh, thank God. So I'm not the only one with like these like thoughts in my head. And I'm not the only one who kind of wants to like get it out. And reading those things gave me the permission to become the person that I became. And hopefully, I mean, even you reading something that I wrote in college and being like, damn, like, okay, that's not bad. Like, it didn't suck. That's great. And I hope there are people watching us who like and respect what we do, but it's like, if you hate it, that's cool too. Go make your own thing.
And,
like,
and from the
we want to watch that. Like, I want to watch people who hate us too.
From the reporting side, the other thing I would say is like Taylor Swift or don't, she fucking matters. Like, she's driving economies. She's changing the way people dress. She's changing the way people talk and think and write. Like, it's a business also, and so it has to be taken seriously. Like, we have to cover this in a way that meets it on its terms, like, because you can pretend it doesn't exist. You can pretend that Young Thug doesn't exist, but that's like putting your head in the sand. Like, in fact, even if I don't like it, I'd rather wrestle with, this is a thing. Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
And that's important.
100%.
One more question just about thinking and criticism. How important, especially in the context of this list, how important is the fan reaction and relationship? I'm not talking about like the community of fans, but I'm talking about how it resonates with. You mean like
how does
culture.
A Taylor fan react to this, or how does a Taylor fan react to us?
How much does the fan does just a regular listener in the country who
Reader
cares
reaction,
about
sure.
Jay-Z as an artist factor into how we think about Jay-Z in this and put him in this list?
I will say one of my
Cultural
main
impact, maybe.
Yeah,
sure.
one of my main takeaways from this process, and especially the reaction to this process, is music is unlike any other art form, I think, in how closely people associate it with themselves. Like, it is personal to fans of Jay-Z that he was given this honor.
Yeah.
Taylor, same thing. Young Thug, I think they're like, it is meaningful to people, and it is extremely hurtful to fans of people who were left off this list for one reason or another. And we've heard from those people,
Many of whom we like.
yeah,
for the
like
record.
this is
Like,
not this is an editorial exercise. This is a conversation starter. This is not an end point. It's the beginning of a dialogue, which we're continuing here today. But I do think you can't overlook cultural impact.
Yeah.
It's like that. We needed some icons on this list.
Yeah.
But we wanted them to be icons who also had a catalog to stand on.
Yeah.
So it factors in, and I think you see that in the emotional reactions, pro and con, but I think it is not a deciding factor, because I think there's a lot of people who could have been on this list just for their icon status. But for one reason or another, we felt like the songwriting maybe wasn't there and enough.
I want to add one more framework for what you're talking about, cultural impact, right? Like, a person we both care a lot about, who's not on this list, I think because of youth ultimately, is NBA Youngboy. No NBA Youngboy fan has DM'd me to be like,
Where is he?
yeah, he should be on the list. They probably don't read the New York Times. They don't care about the list. They don't know. Like, it's fine. Like, which communities are the ones who are paying attention to canonization, and what is the entitlement that comes with thinking that your favorite is where the canon begins and ends? That is something that I think people should look in the mirror and examine. There are plenty of people who have intense cultural presence, validity, and power who are not operating in a framework of, my canonicity is what I'm driving for. My fans need me to be in the canon.
Youngboy doesn't need us to be valid, like out there. Like,
Yeah.
that's over. That
happens.
exists.
That happens.
Whether we put him on the list or not.
But I'm startled by, is it weird to say the insecurity of people who
Who need this validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been striking, especially as a critic who I think has been fighting against like conventional canonizing for a long time.
But in honor of those people,
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Come on up for the rise of the night. Left the house this morning.
John was saying there's no good recent Bruce.
Is this recent?
It's recent-ish.
this
Second
is
half of the
two-
career.
Yeah, 2000s.
It's latter,
like
latter day.
2000.
Latter day, yes.
Yeah.
Late
Yeah.
career. Yeah.
I'm a big
yeah.
with the 9/11 song.
Yeah. Devils and Dust.
Devils and Dust.
Yeah.
Devils and Dust.
Yeah.
Take your God feeling soul. Fill it with devils and
That's a great one to me.
Western Stars was one that Jack Antonoff was saying like that's his best album. I was like, really?
Shout out to Jack.
Interesting.
Shout out Jack.
Okay, so there's him, there's Bob Dylan, there's some of these folks from like just this tradition that
Yeah.
we're talking about, the
Yep.
guy with the guitar. But it's, he's
Very
been around
valid.
for
It's
a
very
really,
valid.
really, really long
We
time.
don't want to take Bruce away from anybody.
No.
We don't want to rob people of their capacity to like Bruce or put Bruce on whatever
So
list they
was
want
it
to put
just
him
a
on.
check for you? We're like, okay.
You would never
Or
try
were
to
there-
stand in the way.
I
of
wouldn't have
Bruce.
stopped Bruce. I mean, there are people who I feel like I maybe was throwing
You
my
would've
body
lost,
in. Yeah,
even
yeah,
if
but
you
there are
tried,
other people who I
but-
would maybe would have tried to throw my body in front of, but not Bruce. Bruce is not like Jay-Z is my Bruce.
Yeah.
Generationally,
And they're similar.
I think they're
to each
extremely
other, right?
similar. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure they see that kinship as much as
like,
anyone
that's
else.
the problem is a lot of people who love Bruce don't understand that Jay-Z is Bruce for this. And a lot of people who love Jay-Z maybe don't understand that Bruce is the Jay-Z of whatever that was. Nebraska is Reasonable Doubt.
Wow.
I just made that up.
Yeah,
but who knows?
it's not quite true,
Who
but
knows?
we'll unpack
Close
that
enough.
later.
Go for it. Let's just like whatever. Do the math.
Nebraska is 444.
No, it couldn't be because of where it came out in his career.
It doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter.
It's not
All
right.
right, what
That's not right.
what do you say?
But to me, but no, I would have never. I like, we're not churlish. Like, we're not like rude.
We mean this stuff. Like, it's fun to be glib when you argue with your friends about music, and that's what podcasting is and should be to us. But also, like, we actually care and work on this. Like, we learn and listen every day. We read, we write, you know, we absorb, we read the criticism. You know, it's like, this isn't like it's not a joke.
Yeah, none of the five, and the five
even if
people
we're
who
making
were
jokes about
Yeah.
it.
the 5 people who were balloted in, I wouldn't have argued against any of those people.
Obviously, all
Yeah,
those
no,
people
of
should be
course.
on this list. But you got to make it a little more interesting than just the most obvious people.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, when I grew up reading canon lists made by rock journalists, I was like, this just seems like the same shit over and over again. Given the opportunity to make something canon-ish, it should reflect our expansive idea of what the thing is. You know, if we were making a television canon, it'd have a lot of reality television on it. Maybe some purists wouldn't like that. But, like, would I have Keeping Up with the Kardashians season 3 on there? Like, yeah, I would. Would I have, like, multiple Survivor seasons on there? Yeah, I would. Like, to me, that's how you acknowledge an art form's evolution. Like, and my hope is that anyone who's skeptical of any individual entry on this list maybe sits down, gets their Spotify on, and listens to 10 songs, and they might find themselves quite shocked.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Like
It's
and
really
subscribe to Trackstar, like and subscribe to Popcast.
fun. We need it more than you do.
The Trackstar Podcast is a presentation of public opinion created by me, Jack Coyne, Kieran Coyne, and Henry Cornaros. Produced by Haley Sobel. Edited by Ryan Durgans. Theme and original composition by Kieran Coyne. Mixing by Devin Klein. Our agent is Joanna Orland at UTA. Thanks for listening. See you next Wednesday.